Dr. Tony Huge of EnhancedAthlete.com, and in this video I'm going to give you background on why I ran this experience, what I could have done better, my final opinion on SARMs versus steroids as it relates to getting bodybuilders shredded, competition tips to improve myself next time that you might find useful.
Spray tans, pump rice cakes, must be a bodybuilding competition.
That's right.
Although I won first place in Classic Physique C and second in Light Heavyweight, there's a ton of room for improvement, which I'll discuss more in this video. Some quick background. I'm 34 years old. I've been lifting since I was 14 years old. I was super anti-steroid until I completed my first physique competition at age 30 using a steroid cycle. I had reached my genetic potential when I was 21 years old and made very little progress between age 21 and 30.
Diet definitely started 3 days ago. Supposed to diet like 4 months.
It's gonna ruin everybody. This guy's gonna win it all with no dieting.
I'm not a doctor of medicine. I was a lawyer. I retired to travel the world and seek out the cutting-edge secrets to human performance, longevity, and quality of life. Then I started sharing my findings with my inner circle of friends and professional athletes that rely on my recommendations. Over the last 4 years, I ran every type of steroid cycle. I learned through trial and error, so I learned the hard way, but the knowledge I got through experimentation was tremendous. But the knowledge came at the cost of actual progress. Thus, I'm more of a scientist than a bodybuilder. I started getting more and more nervous about the potential steroid side effects and more disappointed with losing the gains between cycles. This is where SARMs came in, a potential replacement for steroids where I can stay lean, hard, big, and strong all year round and for the rest of my life without the roller coaster or side effects of steroid cycles. Prior to Enhanced Athlete selling supplements and research chemicals like SARMs, I was doing research on a small scale for myself and those who would let me experiment on them, and since I have unlimited money to spend, I would buy every kind of different brand and sources to experiment. I ran cycles of every different SARM for this contest prep, and here's my final opinion. 1. SARMs are 70% as effective as steroids in general. 2. I experienced virtually no side effects from SARMs. 3. SARMs are adequate to compete successfully in physique or classic physique, but are inadequate for competing in bodybuilding. 4. SARMs are great for bridging between steroid cycles and maintaining gains. 5. SARMs are as effective as most steroids to maintain muscle while cutting. 6. SARMs do not cause water retention like steroids, so the benefit of which is I can look drier and have more definition all year round than if it was on steroids. The drawback is that less water retention means the muscles are not as full on SARMs as they would be on steroids, so it's a trade-off. 7. SARMs do not harden the muscles as much as steroids. They don't make the veins pop out as much as steroids. 8. The impact of SARMs on strength? Well, despite lack of androgenic impact and lack of intracellular water retention and lack of joint lubrication like nandrolone-based steroids would produce, it appears the strength increases on SARMs are about the maximum anyone should seek. Because even just on SARMs, a lot of people are gaining strength so fast that their muscles get stronger than their tendons and ligaments, and they could even get injured because their muscles get strong so fast. 9. Recovery time from SARMs is that equal to steroids. What I mean is the time it takes to heal between workouts. Let's go through my contest history as it relates to what I learned about SARMs versus steroids and what I would do different in the future. 1. The first competition I did, I looked the best. That was because I dieted and trained properly. Now that I travel so much, it's really hard to maintain a consistent diet and training program, so I end up relying on some of the SARMs and chemicals instead of using them as a bonus. Diet and training should always come first, but I find it absolutely amazing when I do use the chemicals now in conjunction with proper contest diet, I can lose a pound of fat per day. But knowing that I can drop 7 pounds of fat in a week makes me even worse of a procrastinator. I only dieted hard 3 days for this competition. For extreme fat loss, I relied on EnhancedAthlete.com DNP, HGH Frag, Code Red Fat Burner, Fat Burning Cream, and T3. Other mistakes I made during this contest prep. I only practiced serious posing a total of less than 90 minutes over the last 2 months. A lot of my poses were way off because I was not properly flexing all of my muscles, especially my hamstrings, nor did I hit my best angles, and my transitions could have been much more artistic. I could have called this video How to Prepare for a Bodybuilding Competition with the minimal amount of time and energy invested, because I didn't even finish practicing my posing routine all the way through until the actual show on the stage. But on the other hand, that's what made me such a kick-ass lawyer, as I perform really well under pressure. The third thing is I went on stage way too depleted. Because I starved myself for 3 days before the weigh-ins in order to drop 8 pounds to make weight, my body had a really hard time filling out in just one evening before the contest in the morning. I should have eaten way more carbs that night and the next morning, but I was just so worried that after crash dieting, the carbs would make me bloat up, and for classic physique, I had to be able to pull my stomach in for the vacuum pose. But next time I'm going to have 600 grams of carbs after weigh-ins and spread it out over 4 smaller meals, and then take a laxative before bed to flush any bloating out before the morning.
It is now the day after the competition. I'm back in the gym for a double day, crushing it, annihilating it. Did a photo shoot, drive back from Tahoe. My energy is incredible. That's the difference with SARMs, my friends. If I would have been on Tren, Winstrol, Letrozole, I would have felt like total crap after the competition. It would take me so long to rebound my hormone levels and balance out, cleanse myself. I'd have to go off all the gear and I'd lose a lot of my gains. And instead, the next day, I'm back in the gym, hitting it hard, feel amazing. May the power of SARMs be with you.
Back to things I'd change about the competition. I was so sodium depleted and I was afraid to sodium load for fear of softening the muscles with water. But after loading up on sodium after the show and watching my body fill out and look much better, I realized I should have just taken a teaspoon of salt in the morning of the show. Not used diuretics this show. Instead, I used dandelion root, which surprisingly worked just as effective as diuretics. I was blown away how much water it pulled off me, equal to the amount of prescription diuretics. I think the healthiest competition shredded physique approach that would be more effective than my SARMs approach would be to use the SARMs as an anabolic base, but then to add androgenic hardeners on top of it to bring out more muscle density and vascularity than the SARMs can produce. For example, adding the steroids Proviron at 150 milligrams a day, because I did run it for a couple days but then ran out, and then also Masterone at 800 milligrams per week. I never had any side effects from either of those in the past, so I don't think that those would impact my health at all, and they could be run with SARMs. S4 is supposed to be the SARM version of Winstrol to make my muscles feel hard and dense, and it did do that to some extent, but it didn't give me the vascularity. Also, androgenic steroids help block the estrogen, pull the water out from under the skin. Guys, you need to look at where you're at and what your goals are here. If you want to be a pro bodybuilder at 5'10", 240 pounds, 5% body fat, then you're not going to do it without hardcore steroids. But if your goal is to look like a physique model or put on 10 pounds of muscles, then SARMs are going to do that without the side effects of steroids. But I'll leave you with these 2 important points. I see way too many guys that are doing steroids that don't intend to get that big, so they're sacrificing their health for a goal that they don't even really want or understand what they're working towards. And 2, on the other hand, I see a lot of guys thinking that they're going to look like a bodybuilder by just taking SARMs, and that's not going to happen. The crappier the genetics, the more gear that someone has to run to make up for it. But make no mistake, you can alter your genetics, and in upcoming videos I will reveal exactly how bodybuilders with subpar genetics are finding success with HGH protocols and using the theories of the anabolic matrix. Be swell and swole, my friends of freedom, my pioneers of human evolution.
Get enhanced. Become superhuman. Welcome to the future of health and fitness.